It is game day on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. Nick Kypreos, the very dapper Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz with you for the next 2 hours. In about 30 minutes, we'll welcome in Marty Turco. We haven't had him on for a while.
Sammy's on mute.
Oh, no, I'm good.
There he is.
I'm back.
Special assistant to the president of the Dallas Stars, Steve Valiquette, for our Tuesday edition,
Yes.
National Hour. We always have fun with him. And in the meantime, JB will get ready, as you are all ready for, 6:30 live on Sportsnet?
Yeah.
What do you got going?
We got the Hockey Central pregame show because there's 5 Canadian teams
Yeah.
in action tonight, maybe 6. And, and then I'm doing intermissions later in the night.
Oh, okay. You're not going to come to our show tomorrow tired, are you?
But do I exist any other way? Just middle-aged life with kids. I exist.
Just look good.
Just
That's
be happy
all.
I'm here, all
Just look good.
It'd be weird if we all weren't tired.
Came in fresh, I
That'd be
had a
the-
great sleep.
Yeah, that would be the
Been
weird
eating vegetables and exercise.
All right, boys. The Dallas Stars make their only visit here in Toronto to take on, shall we dare say it, because it's written in my Sammy program, the slumping Toronto Maple Leafs. Sammy.
2 losses to
Two
two
losses.
good teams. And they're
They
in the
come off
swamp,
5
eh?
wins in a row. They
Jeez.
lose 2, and they're slumping.
Yes. I think the temperature around the Leafs right now would say they're slumping. They're trying. I don't know if you've noticed the lines for tonight, but I think they're trying Steven Lorentz on the top line tonight.
Usually not the sign of a red hot team.
If you're not slumping, you don't usually put your fourth line winger on the first line.
No way.
I don't mind it at all. Listen. He
I don't either.
He
Hey,
comes
don't
from
get me
my
wrong.
world, man. Fourth line slugs, go out there, try to get noticed, try to get bumped up to the third line, man. This guy skipped the third line. He skipped the second. He just went to the first.
He might be the Leafs' most consistent player this year, not named Chris Tanev. Like every game, you could count on what he's going to do. He's going to forecheck hard. He's going to finish his check. He's going to be in the right spots. He's going to get off the rink with a smile. That's going to be his every day.
I would like to clarify my comments by saying I'm a fan of trying it,
Right.
but you don't usually do that when you're red hot.
No.
So there
Of
you
course.
go. There you go.
And
We have the coach on our mic.
regardless, where it is, it's going to be a period, 3 periods, 2 games, but whatever it is, it's got a shelf life.
It does. The only thing with that role, which, yes, Matthews has typically been good with someone there who forechecks hard and gets in on pucks first. I think that's like the most important attribute. But you need someone who, when they get the opportunities, because Mitch hits you back door, you're able to put it away. I know Lorentz has some offensive touch.
Oh, yeah. He can shoot a puck, too.
Yeah. So, there's a chance. There's a chance that it could work for him. But you just need to be able to make plays with these guys when it comes time to make a play.
All right, let's go to Craig Berube for our first Kyper's Clipper on Lorentz on the top line.
He just brings energy to that line, I think, more than anything. Size, compete. Pretty simple game, obviously, but he's going to be at the net. He's going to forecheck for him, and he's going to get in there and create loose pucks and things like that. So just to add a little energy to that line.
They were low energy, I would say, on Saturday night. So looking for an infusion of life.
This is the rotation of Matthews and Marner together, where they first put them together. It's fantastic. It's spectacular. They're red hot. They cannot be stopped. It's the best line in the league. What's going on up there today? Anyways, so you reunite them. They come together, and then it starts to go downhill a little bit. They start trying new guys in the left wing. They put a fourth line winger up there. They try to do things, and then they get split up, and then they go back and they start again at the start. It's a rotation.
Yeah.
They do it. It's the same thing every year. It really is.
That left side kind of remains tricky for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It does. It does remain crazy. And I just need to say this, that of having the core 4 guys, no coach wants to put 3 on a line for an extended time or 1 on 3 lines for an extended time. It is always 2 pairs. It's like, what about Willie and Austin. No? What about Mitch and Austin? What about Willie and Austin? You know, and it's like not just the same. They're great. I understand it's probably going to end up being the way it is, so it's fine, but no one wants to see it different, not for a minute.
Yeah. I really thought it would be different for extended periods of time this year.
I did too. I thought a new coach would be like, guys, how do you not try Willie here for 10 games?
Yeah. And they just really haven't gone to it. So
We got Lorentz part 2?
yeah, let's play that.
Second clip?
Yep.
Keep it simple. That's what I say to him. He doesn't need to change his game. You know, he just needs to do what he does. And, you know, Matthews and Marner, they'll do what they do. You know, I don't think he needs to try to force pucks and trying to find them and things like that. You know, just keep playing your game and do your thing. It's just, you know, sometimes when you put a worker with 2 skilled players like that, you know, just a guy that's going to, you know, meat and potatoes guy, go to the net, hound pucks, create loose pucks battles for these guys. You know, sometimes they need that.
Okay, sounds way easier than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Easier said than done.
Yeah, it's easier said than done. And
You have some experience with
I've
this.
had some experience
Tell us
with
what it's
this
like
when
going
you
into a
go
game being
from,
like, you're playing with mess today or
Rob,
whatever.
and I did. Keenan once in a blue moon, and this happened to me in Quebec. I'm up and I'm playing the right side with Messier and Graves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Or
my God, what a thrill.
I'm in Washington,
Just
and
leave your stick on the bench and go out there?
me and Alan May wanted to play with Dale Hunter so badly.
Yeah.
So badly, right? Because we had like Rob Murray and a few other slugs just like us. But Dale Hunter had this reputation for being this like heavy, gritty guy, but could make plays and score 60 points. And you cannot just go from the fourth line and think you've got this mindset of dump and chase and hit and dump and chase and hit and dump and chase hit to Marner and Matthews and dump and chase and hit, which you could do on the first line. But then on the second one, when you've now maybe for the first time all season actually find yourself beside Austin Matthews on the bench, right? Because you never really do.
Right.
Because it's not your line.
Yeah.
And he looks and goes, hey, listen,
Don't ever do that again.
I was open there. I don't know if you saw me, but
we
just
had the puck.
just slide it over. And you're like,
Uh-oh.
but he told me not to change anything. And it's like, buddy, I don't care what he said.
No.
Get me the puck.
Yeah.
Alex Kovalev, the same thing. I played with him one game. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm coming in to support you. He goes, no, you go the other way. Go the other way.
What do you mean?
Because he didn't want me to draw.
Oh,
he
yeah,
didn't want
you
me to
brought
draw in
defenders to him.
attention,
Yeah.
bring more bodies in. He's like, skate away from the play. I'm
You're
like, well,
oh,
this
that only goes against everything I've ever done.
this is new to me, right?
Well,
but that's what's going to happen to Lorentz. He's going to have some conversations with Matthews and Marner, and it's not going to be like having one with Revo and David Camp.
This is what's funny because people talk about Sidney Crosby, and they're like, oh, it's hard to play with a skill guy. And then you get certain players who go, no, it isn't. They're great. And certain guys go, no, it's different. And I think that's why sometimes strange players end up clicking. Like Chris Kunitz was the best guy for Sid because
Pascal Dupuis and him had excellent chemistry.
But
because he probably did the simple things but could make a play when he needed to and had a good sense for that balance.
But it didn't go from just starting to play for the first time to magic. There's a process. There's conversations. There's
things have to go wrong to figure out what to do right.
Learning about your tendencies, what you like, what you don't like. And they had, Kunitz and Crosby had magic enough that they put them together on
2014, Sochi.
2014.
Kunitz scored the third goal in the gold medal game, went bar down over the shoulder of Henrik Lundqvist. Anyways, continues.
I don't think there's time for Steve Lorentz to get on a Four Nations roster between tonight's start.
Hey, if Austin wants it, well, I guess Mitch wants it.
But there's maybe plenty of time for them to have multiple conversations on, hey, let's try this next shift. Let's do that. Or look for this. Or, come and support me more. Or whatever the case is, Matthews and Marner will have a bigger influence on what Craig Berube just told us moments ago.
Do you think they would tell him to do anything other than what the coach wants him to do? Do you think they would say, hey, come on.
Give me the biscuit, buddy.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a coach where you've rolled your eyes and said, No.
I have only had coaches at which I've rolled my eyes.
Yeah, good one. Right? Okay. And then we're going to try it this way ourselves.
But there is a history of guys like this finding magic, and not to say that my father-in-law, Clark Gillies, was one, but he happened to play with a couple of skill guys because he could make a play when he needed to, but do some other things. And Hyman did that for Matthews and does it for McDavid at times. But if you're Lorentz, you have to be sitting at home thinking of those examples, being like, well, there's $40 million out there for me if this goes perfectly, and otherwise, back to being $1 million guy the rest of my life.
Yeah. There'd be a ton going through his head before puck drop.
I think maybe this is oversimplifying it, but there's a reason there's first-line players and the reason there's fourth-line players, and it's very rare that just a straight-up fourth-liner, like he's a career fourth-liner, he's a good fourth-liner, he does what he does, but like
he's a PTO this year.
To go up there, like even those guys you're talking about, like Hyman, he has the elite work rate to dig out pucks and has the ability to finish, and like, he's a $5 million player. Like, I love Steven Lorentz, but like,
hey, buddy.
Oh, here we go.
We got highlights. Look at this. This is
Oh,
great.
my
We
God.
talk about work rate, getting in on pucks. This is what's got him there, right?
Yeah, I know. Listen, backhand like Matt Sundin in the second game, we thought he was maybe the best signing of all time.
What about this one? He still might be.
Yeah. Anyways, I hope this works because this guy is passionate, cares, loves the Leafs. I really like this guy, but I'm skeptical. Is that fair?
I don't know. I'm still obsessed
you're not
with the fact that we just showed
skeptical.
highlights.
You're
on
just-
this.
Yeah, that was
This is
crazy.
the rule, dude.
There's nothing really to be skeptical on.
Well, how about you just put, like, switch it up? You don't have to put the reason you're putting Matthews in a fourth liner with Matthews and Marner to get the $25 million combined guys going. You're putting it on a $750,000 player to do that. Give me a break. Split them up. Do something else.
But that
this is
says,
great.
should
do
we not
something else.
Should we not be reading more into this? Isn't about Steve Lorentz. It's about why is there no energy on
Exactly.
Matthews and Marner right
Yes.
I would say that they went, we laughed at the -6 and how impossible that is to roll snake eyes that many times in a row. But then to come out the next night, and it should have been a bounce back performance and and to not have that, they weren't even the best line on the team the next game,
But that was but one game before that, we're praising Matthews back.
Well, I know. So, but back-to-back games, you would think that the embarrassment of the one game would be enough to get some energy out of them. I do think it says something that they're like, give him the guy who goes in hard and gets the puck every night. Maybe this is the start of being concerned again. Not saying, just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. We're
Well-
a radio show. We have lots of time.
Yeah.
Good challenge tonight against a pretty good hockey club.
You want to know what their coach wants to see from them tonight?
Yes.
Let's hear from Craig Berube on that.
One, please.
Well, just a more complete game, I think. I thought like last game, I think we were pretty solid defensively, but we didn't create enough offensively, power play included. So just we need to put it all together tonight. But at the same time, they're a stingy team, so you got to take what they give you, and we can't open it up. And we don't want to play that way either. We just need a real good, solid hockey game for 60 minutes tonight. We need everybody. We can't have any passengers tonight.
We don't want to open it up. We just got blanked at home on Hockey Night in Canada. Heaven forbid we take a chance. Sorry. I really like
I don't know. He kind of sounded like Marner.
What do you mean?
Well, we weren't that bad, right? There's a lot that I liked about our game Saturday night.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
Is it a sales job?
I think it's 2 days afterwards. Like, we were decent defensively. You watch the tape. I think it's a little different now than it is 2 minutes after the game saying I thought we played well. Anyways.
Vancouver didn't have much, but I mean, is that what they want to be? Maybe it is. Maybe that's that. We never did get to all the tree living clips. If you had interest in those, or if you'd like to go somewhere else, please let me know.
Well,
I also want to talk Riley. If you want to talk Riley,
let's stick with the team before we go into management.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Yep.
Do you want to talk about defense or do you want to talk about Yarncroc? There's an update today. Joseph Woll also took more ownership about his last start. Where do you want to go, JB?
let's just get a quick Yarncroc update.
I know this is exciting.
I know it's going to be 10 seconds, but I do love the Yarncroc.
You got a Yarncroc jersey at home. Yarncroc.
I'm a fan.
Good
Clip for it.
Well, timeline, that's a tough one still, I think. He's a ways away, but he's progressing in the right direction. Kind of skating a little bit now, which is a good sign. So, we'll see how it goes here, I'd say in the next 2 weeks, and then we'd have more definitive timeline.
Cali Kucherov.
Can I tell you something? I don't even know what's wrong with him.
Sports
The
hernia.
sports hernia.
That's
Sports
right.
hernia.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
It's just been so long since
Yeah.
we've heard his name. Forgot
Yeah.
about that.
And there's
Right.
surgery there, wasn't there?
Yep. Yeah. He's coming back April 16th.
It would make no sense for him to come back a day before that.
Yeah. They send
Oh,
him,
that's a terrible thought, though. I don't want to plug him in game 1, 2, 3. But
send him down to the Marlies, get the conditioning stint down there. And
No, you can plug him in after the trade deadline.
no, you can't.
No,
can't.
you're not allowed.
No, the salary cap. So the roster limit does go away. So you can have unlimited contracts.
Yes.
But the salary cap is still in place until the final day of the season.
Final day of the
Yeah.
season.
So
Okay.
yeah, couldn't quite plug him in. But yeah, you can send him to the Marlies.
Okay. Joseph Woll.
Mhm.
I think we got a clip on him. He will start tonight.
Yeah.
He'll go up against Jake Ottinger. Last time stood on his head.
and Ottinger did the opposite. Ottinger, I think what was the final score of that game? But they scored a lot of goals on him.
Lot,
Were
yeah.
not pretty.
Nick
Yeah.
Robertson's
Yeah.
favorite team to play.
All right. Let's get to Craig Berube on Joseph Woll taking ownership for the loss the other night.
Oh, I do like that. I like anybody that takes ownership of themselves and the team and things like that. That's important. And, he wants to be better, and just like the whole team wanted to be better that night, like we didn't play a good enough hockey game to be successful.
Okay, and let's just be clear here. Joseph Woll spoke the other night on his performance against Carolina. He didn't start Vancouver
Mhm.
with the Hildebeest.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yep.
You got that.
So he goes back again tonight.
It's good. You guys have any concerns about Hildeby?
Well, I just want to stay for Joseph Woll because I believe he should have started Saturday night. Yes. And I do believe that it would have been a classic scenario where you come off a crappy game and you're needed 48 hours later to stop the bleeding.
Craig Simpson said the same on the broadcast.
And that's the playoffs. We're down 1-0. We're down 2-1. You were no good. And now you need to come and become the best goalie on the ice right now.
Yeah.
And I think they missed an opportunity to put Joseph Woll in a position of, buddy, this isn't about you physically. This isn't about us worrying about you being hurt. This is about you having mental toughness to come off a bad loss and turning it right around.
So my thought was, Kip, that I totally agree, but I do wonder if they got some inclination of maybe he's not feeling 100% healthy, and maybe that's him saying, I don't know, this doesn't feel quite right, or if it's some data they have from they wear the equipment in
So
practice.
how do you get over that? And because if that happens in the playoffs, you're ruined.
But
You're just ruined.
I think it's not the playoffs. It's January, and you already lost a goalie doing this. So another injury-prone goalie that you played on the next night due to merit. So he had a bad game.
So you're saying there's no reason between now and the end of the regular season to ever consider a scenario where you want to replicate what it would be like in the playoffs? Because what are we playing 82 games for, Sammy?
Because, Kipper, I watched this guy's ankle explode on a floater from the half boards last year, and he was gone for 2 months. Like, you have to
You got to
treat
put
it-
that behind you. You
Yeah, but
got to put it behind you.
But you can't, Kipper. You have to treat this guy the way that it's kind of been merited his whole career. Like, he's been injured his whole career. You can't just push. You can't start him every night.
No, but I do agree with Kip that it's like you have to operate like he's someone you're going to be able to do this
For sure.
with.
I understand, but you also have another goalie who had better numbers than him. So you're hoping he comes back healthy and you can go back and forth. And then if it's in the playoffs, guess what? If Woll starts game 1 and he's due to, guess who's going in game 2? It's the other guy. So I don't know if it's necessarily something you need to be like, maybe when we get into March, you can start thinking about it. April, maybe start thinking about it. But like now, it's January. You got to keep him healthy. Like if he gets hurt, then what? You got Murray and Hildeby? Like, yeah.
I know, but I do feel like I'm big on experimenting in the regular season and it's why I get frustrated with the lines. It's like, could we see what this looks like? Could we see what that looks like? It's January. It's a pretty good time to take an injury risk if you're going to take one.
I love the saying that 82-game season is a dress rehearsal for the big show.
Totally understand.
If you don't practice well, if you don't rehearse well, how the heck are you going to do it when it counts?
Stolars is back on the ice, I'm told. And by I'm told, I mean I read it somewhere.
Okay, I thought maybe Jake told you that.
no.
Or something.
Are you going to try to sneak him in a couple of games before Four Nations?
No.
Then
I don't think so.
What's the point then?
Yeah, I think it's just ease your way back.
to
Sooner
kind
you
of-
get doing it, the better.
Yeah, I think it's geared up to
Come
when
back on
everybody
the
returns.
22nd,
22nd?
21st second.
Like, one of the things we talked about before the year with the worry with these two goalies was the lack of games they've started, like in their careers, and like the amount they've actually played in a full season. So we're now at 21 starts for Joseph Woll.
Yeah.
You don't want to hammer down here.
There's no hammering.
Yes,
down.
we're entering into the unknown. Like we're close to never.
You might need the unknown. You might
You're
need to
definitely
find
gonna
what's-
need-
You need to make it known.
You're going to need the unknown, but pushing them to play 3 games in a week in January when you're 4 points clear of first place, and if you lose him, you're hooped. I don't necessarily see the value in that. If you were going to do it, you started Hildeby Thursday night in Carolina against a better team, Woll at home. That's what I wanted to do. But I understand them backing off Woll. I really do.
I am curious what they're going to do between Hildeby. Like Murray hasn't been lighting it up in the American League, if I'm not mistaken. Hildeby, wouldn't blame him for a poor performance per se, but like always just kind of want him to make another save. Looks a little uncomfortable. Doesn't seem quite NHL ready to me.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think as things tighten up, he doesn't have the calmness yet as a NHL kind of pro to handle it for me. And I think there's maybe some good stretches where he can show promise and potential, and you just want to harness that and keep it,
Right.
going well in the minors. But to stick him now into some important starts, I'm not sure he's ready for that, or the Leafs should be willing to put him in that position. If the margin between Matt Murray and him are minimal, bring up the guy that can keep it calm
I don't know.
better in Matt Murray.
Might be better for Hildeby to develop. To me, it's like you're not
He
going
has
to
to
trade for
he has
another
to,
goalie.
He has to win. He has to win, and he has to look good.
I think
Hildeby.
I think Hildeby's looked better than Murray looked the 2 games.
Even if that's true, like you're not going to win in playoffs,
But-
if you got one of these guys,
This
right?
guy also coming off 2 major
course.
surgeries and has had less than a handful of games.
Totally acknowledge
So-
that. But that's like right now, if you're going to the who's been better in their games, like neither of them have been great, but I think I'd give the nod to
The
Hildeby.
only reason Hildeby's up now is to buy Matt Murray time to get more starts in.
And-
It's not because he's the better goalie right now or the guy that they envision to hold that spot if
that right?
anything happens.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. It just feels like, I've thought, like, should they trade for a better third stringer given how injury prone these other 2 guys are? But if you get to playoffs and you're turning to that third string guy, the David Rittich that you trade a 3rd round pick for or whatever, you're cooked. So, yeah, whoever it is, Hildeby or Murray, you're right. Are they going to be that different in performance? Probably not. Might as well let Hildeby start more in the minors.
Yeah, I'm just seeing Matt Murray has played 4 games since in the new year. 2-3-2 goals against. Just not. That's just in the AHL. So they're playing him a lot in the AHL. So
Okay, let's get to some Brad Treliving
Yeah.
quotes because he met the media, and I'm not sure
this was yesterday.
why.
Halfway point.
Halfway point.
Halfway point.
And he was probably requested or people wanted to hear from him. So
Well, I
I guess that was it.
A lot of the team's general managers have been talking. Like Hughes did it in Montreal. I think
All right.
Steos talked. Like I think it's just kind of like
Yeah,
something you
okay.
do.
That's fair.
It's better than never hearing from them. Like it
So
was
where do you
last
want to
week.
go first? On
got here?
center depth seems to have taken the most attention.
Power play 2. But yeah, let's start with your topic there.
Yeah, we'll go with clip 2.
We'll go with clip 2.
I think we got depth. We've got lots of guys who can play the position. Is it an area that we continue to try to upgrade. I mean, I would say this, the guys at the top of the food chain are pretty darn good, like Austin and how can you talk anything but positively that you or John's had, right? Like, so to say you're going to go and get somebody above that, it's just not, I don't think that's realistic. Is there ways that we can, continue to look at adding to that? Sure. I think there's some depth there. Is that an area that we'd like to continue to look at? Sure, it's one, but we probably, along with about 15 or 18 other teams, are looking at center depth. So it seems to be a position du jour.
I mean, we knew they needed someone, so we've gone through the list of names. There's not that many names, and a bunch of teams vying for people like this.
Well, the thing to me is when you look at the standings, not a lot of sellers.
Well, that's a problem. The East, there's so much parity.
The East, I mean, the West is more so. I think there's more defined sellers in the Western Conference. But in the Eastern Conference, like every team outside of Buffalo can kind of convince themselves that they might have a chance to get in there.
You think Ryan O'Reilly would come back to Toronto?
No.
I don't either.
No, and Elliott had a report on him Saturday night that said he'll be treated almost like he's got a no-move clause. And I don't think I think there was a lot of conversations between Ryan O'Reilly and Nashville when he decided to sign that, like, I'm not jumping around. I'm not looking to be someone's savior again in March. To me, Nashville's maybe looking at this season as a write-off, but one that they can come back the following year and make the playoffs again or compete.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they're not just going to be bad now.
They think that they could be Washington.
Yeah.
The Washington Capitals. So he's not going anywhere.
But it does spell trouble for Pontus Holmberg, I think. Out of the lineup as one of the depth center guys they've tried in various spots. They seem to have reached a conclusion here that they're not sure they can trust him.
And I get it. And,
They can trust
Brad
him to not
alluded to Matthews and John Tavares. But, John's not having Austin's having a year where it's not hitting on all cylinders. And, at this point, forget the numbers, forget about anything. You just hope that his best hockey will come in the spring, right? Where he'll hit that high level of he's just unstoppable. And we've seen him putting the puck in the net in the past. John Tavares, he said he's having an unbelievable season or a great season, and he has. But John's kind of been known as a guy that gets maybe a little tired towards the latter part of the season. His numbers are always stronger in the front half than the back half. And you just got to make sure that when the centerman comes in, he can be one of those guys that can be almost a 2B, not a definitive Boyle, Plekanec at the end of his career. They're talking about Yanni Gord. To me, that's like bottom 6. They need somebody just in case something happens to John, gets hurt, Austin's back, flares up, whatever the case is, that a guy that can go in there and kind of hold his own. That's, to me, is the centerman that they need, not a definitive third or fourth liner.
Yeah, it's so funny, though, Kip. Like, we do these sort of things and talk about what they need, and I agree with that entirely. But, it's a matter of running through it. And are we just talking about Brock Nelson? Like, and when you narrow it down to who's there for you,
Today,
he will be the hottest commodity at center ice.
But I've said this to you before. Yeah. We talked about passing yesterday. To me, he's another guy who shoots it in the net from the net front.
Yeah.
It's another. Yes, it's the best bet, and at some point you're going to have to just do what you do and hope it clicks. But
there's slim pickings, right? Beggars can't be choosers right now.
Any interest in Taylor Hall at left wing? You don't like their left wing?
No.
Nope.
Well, no. I think just from listening to that,
Granlund out of San Jose.
Listening to that clip, it just struck me that he's like, it's not going to be. Basically, he's like, it's not going to be Kadri, JT Miller, or Brock Nelson. Is what that kind of clip said to me. that he's
By
looking for
talking up the other
he's
two?
looking. Well, no, that he's just like they're not going to be better than those two guys, and they're having they're great players. It's hard to be above that. It feels like they're depending on him to be the second line center in Tavares.
Any significance out of what he said about Austin and his participation in Four Nations?
No, just basically no news, and
Yeah.
we'll see when time comes.
Yeah, he didn't really like shoot it down or whatever. But yeah, you want to listen to the power play one? I thought that was
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Which you tell me. You
Oh,
can
we haven't even
please.
talked about John Klingberg. It's the
Oh my God!
Klingberg
Yeah.
to Toronto
Oh yeah, we
rumor,
should talk about that quickly.
which is related to this. Let's listen to Tree
Yeah.
Living on the power play, and then
Yeah.
let's do it.
Well, the power play.
Yeah.
Certainly. That's an area I think we should be a top power play. It has been a top power play for a number of years. So that to me is an area that can get cleaned up. I think the 5-on-5 scoring again, it goes in fits and starts, right? Talk about your top guys for a early part of our season. Kevin, it seemed like we were being carried by some of the big boys. Then we had some depth scoring. So he sort of goes back and forth. I think the pieces are in place there that we should score enough, but certainly the power play is an area that it needs to be a difference maker for us, and it hasn't been right now. So that's certainly an area of focus.
Let me read you a sentence from my guy, Anthony Petrilli of Maple Leafs Hot Stove. He says, since the Leafs posted a ridiculous 50% month in February 2024, they're 29th in the league on the power play. That's a 67-game span, nearly entire season's worth of play, and it doesn't even include their 7 playoff games, which were even worse. So going on this is not like, oh, they're in a rut. Like,
They're
they've
in a
stunk
big
for a
rut.
while. This is like a cavernous pit.
A chasm,
Yeah,
if you
this
will.
is a large problem.
This is a Grand Canyon.
Yeah. So this is at the point where you hear John Klingberg to Toronto rumors again. Now, I want to take everyone back to when he first signed with the Leafs and he played the first few games. I believe it was game 2 where I came in here and I said, he looks like Hale McCarr. I don't know if you remember this
I
game.
do.
He was dancing on the line and
We're surprised you're still on this show
I know.
after that.
I
one.
am too. He was unbelievable that game. I was like, they fixed it. And then I don't know if it's his injury or what it was, but every game from the moment I said that,
Yeah.
he looked worse. Was it just the injury? Is there this great power play defenseman
He
still
was
within him?
horrific in Anaheim prior to that.
But this
Right.
presumably is related
so-
to the needing 2 new hips.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
have no idea. But I'm just saying that it wasn't like he was Klingberg, Dallas turning down
Oh,
60 million over 8 years.
probably
He's-
wants that one back.
Whatever he did, it was at the height of one of the better defensemen in the National Hockey League. He went and bet on himself, ended up in Anaheim, and it was a disaster. Then he signs with Toronto at a minimal deal.
It was 8
And-
mil in Anaheim, wasn't it?
Four
It
and
was
a half
lot of
here.
money. Here
1
was
year.
4.5.
1
yeah.
year.
1 year 8.
Yeah.
Here 1 year 4.5.
Yeah.
No years, no money.
Yeah.
Since.
And I don't know, is it all better? Is it fixed? What worries me is them being wrong.
Well, if they signed him to $1 million deal, you could bury it.
Forget about that. It's the time and energy that you waste that you needed to put somebody else to get ready for April. That's what is the most important thing is you have to win now. You have to get ready now.
And their power play stinks, and they don't have an internal option. And I think this is the Hail Mary where it's like, what if it works? Where you have an elite power play guy.
Can we check under the hood of 800 guys that are presently playing before we do that?
Sure.
I totally agree, Kemper. I'm just like never been
Instead
more
of a
out on
guy
this.
that just has been out. I don't know what he's been doing for the last 6 months.
skating in Toronto.
And that's going to
Like
get you ready
Bandy,
to help.
Hansen.
That's going to get your 65 game power play out of a funk.
Oh, we should go. We're way late. We got to get out of here.
I don't
Get
know.
to Turco.
I mean,
Sorry.
I get it. You may have to go down that. I've said it moments ago. Beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll
that-
choose.
Maybe that's
We are Frankie Valley as an organization.
I'll choose.
maybe
Maybe.
Klingberg's it right now. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we return, Marty Turco will help tee us up. Toronto and Dallas tonight, Scotiabank Arena. Back after these words. Kypreos, Justin Bourne, and Sam McKee. All right, let's welcome him. One of the best for the Dallas Stars many moons ago. Now just sitting back and living the life. Marty
Citrus
Turco. Oh, no.
Are you at Citrus Farms?
Are you at a pro shop right now?
No.
Where are you?
Well, kind of.
Are you
We're
ready to
this
tee
is
it up?
This is our office. No. This is our office.
Oh, it's your office.
Yeah.
How's
In a
it?
year, we'll get you down here. We'll be playing. It's like a private lake and with a golf course on an island. It's sick down here in the middle of Texas. I'm in Dallas right now. This is just like our clubhouse office in Uptown Dallas. But this is our logo. It's a peach logo. So it's a peach capital of Texas. That's why I got it on.
Buddy, you invite us, we can be there tomorrow. Okay, we'll drop everything. That's how desperate we are.
I'll get the charcuterie.
Charcuterie. You are the king of the charcuterie board. I'm telling you.
Well, if you come down tonight, miss the game. We got tea time at 1:00 tomorrow.
Does it come?
He might be there.
Does it come with a Dallas Stars win or a Toronto Maple Leaf win going into tonight? Let us know where you think the Dallas Stars are at, because we've always had them as a top team, a contending team. Couple of injuries and not significant ones. One to Tyler Seguin and the other one, I guess, to Marchment. So where are they right now for you?
We're in a great spot. We obviously got some cap room because of the injury to Segi. And, if need be, we could utilize that. But probably most importantly, what we're doing on this particular run on the road, the way we're playing, the way we're looking, collecting points and wins in some tough places, I think is great. I think we're deep. We've won some tight games. We do have a stud goalie. It's with a new backup this year, to Smith, who's put in some good games for us. But, the reason why we're back on track really is because our top line is. And we have 4 good ones. Probably one of the deeper teams in the league. You see, just different guys out there, Blackwell and Steele. Even at the end of the game the other night, in a 6-on-4 situation. We're good. We're deep. And, we've had a few guys in on the lineup, but that's no different than most teams. We had a little lull there around the new year, but guys are good. It's what always got me pumped up was a fun trip up to the Northeast in Canada. That always helps out because hockey matters as most as anywhere as it does up there. So guys always look forward to going.
Marty, you guys are the 3rd best team in the league in goals against per game, and I think the best penalty kill in the NHL. Do you attribute those great defensive stats to good personnel, goaltending, or coaching?
Well, all the above, but your best penalty killer's got to be your goalie, right?
Yep.
And our guys have been. They haven't been tasked to make probably crazy saves. There's been a few awesome ones, but for halfway through the season, it's just been a real good combo, right? A belief, a work ethic, believe in what the coaches are telling them to do with their scouting, but just being in good places. And I think that it goes down to, what I said earlier, just being deep team. You don't have to have your best players out there all the time or your best goal scorers, even though there are at times, Rupe's out there and he's really picked it up. Rubbo's on some kind of heater. And so we're good. We got a lot of hockey smart guys. And I think, when you talk about penalty kill, it just comes down to hockey intelligence, being prepared, obviously blocking shots and work ethic. And we just kind of have that right mix right now all the way across the board.
Earlier in the season, it was Joseph Woll versus Ottinger. I think close to 40 saves for Woll, and he was absolutely lights out for the win in Dallas. And now they go again head-to-head. You mentioned Ottinger, and Ottinger's been better. There's no question. But he is considered one of the best goalies in the league. And for me, I haven't seen too many games where he's absolutely stolen games on his own yet. And he's got that capability, Marty. So how much more room has he got to go here for the Dallas Stars?
Yeah, I remember the game here in Dallas. it was a goaltending clinic. I feel like we had a goaltending clinic against us for about 3 of the 4 games that we played here in Dallas, and the Woll one. I just love the way he plays, so that was enjoyable. But Jake did steal some games in the playoffs in his first not even full year against Calgary, a series we should not have ever been in, never mind gone to 7. So just that alone says we know he has it in him. But he's got really quieted down, and he's moving less, which is probably a good thing. He's tracking the puck fantastically. He's going to be on the Four Nations American team. In my world, he probably should have a chance of starting. He probably won't, but I think he does have that pedigree. And kind of what you watch goaltenders, if you go black and white, which you do because you're just a silly forward, Kyper. But
so true.
But when you listen to people talk about them, especially the players and the coaches, the confidence that they give them, the belief that they have in them. And he's just one of those guys with a great disposition, a great demeanor, somebody obviously that can carry the mail, which is important. We used to play a ton more games, but still playing 60 games, in this league these days, the way these guys play, it's tough, and you can get it from them. So we pay him accordingly. We have high expectations for him. And I think even better yet, he has high expectations for himself, and he works hard. He's a great kid. So I just think if you see what we've seen for the last 3 years for the next 8, this organization's in a good spot.
Speaking of Four Nations, couple of snubs from the U.S. team, if you will. Jason Robertson has been very good since not making the team. I believe Wyatt Johnston as well, kind of in the same boat. Do you think those guys took it personally?
I hope so. I would. Yep. They're in this league for a reason. Wyatt played as a teenager for a reason. Jason Robertson plays in all these all-star games, leads our team, if not close to it, every year. He's a nifty player. They both are. Do they both deserve it? Yeah. You look at the rosters. Do you blame them? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I would take it personally. I don't think it says anything about our market. We had the Winter Classic here. We played a lot of national games this year in the United States. Been in the Cup Finals or been in the Western Conference Final 3 of the last 4 years. It's just hard. It's a hard one to crack. My days, just not to talk about Canadian goaltending for too long, but I had Brodeur and Luongo and others that I had to just in order to get there. And now I look at our who it is in terms of pedigree across the league. I never say my timing was off because it sounds like I'm complaining, but you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I think you're justified there.
So, Marty, as far as blue liners are concerned, we're seeing kind of this new wave, from the moment we laid eyes on Cale Makar, and then Saturday night here in Toronto, we watched a pretty special one in Quinn Hughes. Miro Heskinen's another one of those type of guys where, less Scott Stevens and more just high-end talent, right? And I got to think Thomas Harley's another one that is going to start making more noise about, being a special player as well. But where do you see this blue line moving forward with those two guys?
Well, the third thing on that, those two, we got some younger guys on our team. Dumbo we picked up, but we feel pretty confident moving forward. But the latter of the two you mentioned, Harley's been just dumping in goals in overtime for the last couple of years, just giving him supreme confidence. He's a puck mover, his head's up, he's a big body, and he's been getting better all over the ice. And so I think that is his natural progression. I think he is like, a lot of other potential stars in the league that it just takes a little bit longer. He has all the attributes, so we feel good about that with our coaches and him. And then Miro, he's a special one, right? And he's the reason why he got drafted, 3rd overall. He's super talented, and you're right. He's not Scott Stevens, but he's more Scott Niedermayer, where you cover up for any mistakes that he makes or his partners with his speed. It never looks like he's flying out there, but he's always catching people. But his stick skills, his intelligence, his hockey IQ, his competitiveness is just almost unmatched in many ways. Sometimes he's so good, you yearn for more in terms of maybe a point production. But he's at his best in the playoffs. He eats 25, 6, 7 minutes a night. Tough to find. They're good minutes. Seems like he's floating on the ice the whole time. So we got a lot of good Finns. This one in particular has been a real rock star for our group. And when you talk about those deep playoff runs that we've had, I point right to him first and foremost because he's the guy eating all the minutes and he's playing against the best players every night. So he's good. Sometimes you just want a little more of Miro from a point production side. But I said it when Zubov was here, he could have tons more points, but he gave you the best minutes out of anybody. And really, the game's here to win, not just get points. So we're lucky to have these guys.
Marty, last one for me. You guys are just in a super tight division. Winnipeg, Minnesota, Colorado. How do you handicap the division and how that sort of changed this year?
Yeah, we all assume Chicago will be a little bit better. They've had their moments. I thought Nashville, right, would be better, but we knew this was going to be the best division, and it's turned out to be true. Didn't know Winnipeg would be so strong. The record's crazy. Minnesota was could have went either way, but how deep they are, and my boy Billy G, great dude, great GM. They just have a great team. When you look at the way they're built, and he's got no corners of how he does his business, which is fantastic. And Colorado kind of, after last year, you knew they'd come out strong. They haven't been perfect all year, but you just watch them play, and they're just a blast. They're fun, they're good, they're deep. It doesn't seem like whoever's in net, they're winning hockey games. Plug in a few players here and there, and they got some really supreme talent. And I'll tell you, they're fun to watch. So I think there's two ways to look at it. One, this division makes you bigger, better, and stronger, and also this division beats you up a little bit along the way. So we're glad. I remember the years back when we were in the Pacific, we played 4-4, 8 games against our division foes those years, trying to create rivalries. I'm glad that's not the case anymore for our guys.
Hey, Marty, quick one before I let you go. Nick Robertson's brother plays on Dallas, eh? What's his name?
Jason.
Jason? Do you think Jason would hope one day to be as good as Nick?
Try to keep pace with Nick tonight?
Think they got some money on it? Last time I checked, Nick got the better of him.
Yeah, I think they're both pretty cheap, so I think there's no money on it.
All right, pal.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys enjoy, man. Good seeing you.
We're coming down there. We're going to hold you to that invitation.
1 o'clock tea time tomorrow. Don't be late.
Marty Turco,
9:03 at 9.
special assistant to the president.
That's the world's vaguest invite. An island in Texas at a private lake. Come
1
find
p.m.
me.
tomorrow.
Hey,
Here I come.
I'm telling you hang with him for a few hours. Like, it's a blast.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
Oh, my God. He's the best. He's the best. All right, so what do we think tonight?
This Dallas team is a little injured, right? You mentioned Marchment and
Tyler Seguin.
Going to be interested to see how they spend that money because they need some reinforcements to hang in that division.
Derek, how much time do we have?
1 minute.
Okay. Pete DeBoer on Chris Tanev because he had him there. I love the guy. What you see is what you get every night. He never wavers. He was really compromised, and you'd never know it. There were some days where he couldn't get his skates on. He found a way to get through it and help us in a deep playoff run. The Leafs are hoping for more of the same from him here. There you go.
What a player.
All right.
Any chance to praise Tanev?
We're back live nationally. Steve Valiquette joins us. You're not going to want to miss it. Don't go away on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee with you for the next hour. The national edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. We are national, and Sammy forgot to change the Leaf jersey.
I did.
Go. I want a Calgary jersey up there. Okay, do it live. Do it live. Go. Because we're going to celebrate Calgary's win last night, and they are very much in the thick of things in the Western Conference. They're not trading anybody because they're going to go make the playoffs.
That's right. Absolutely. They're legit. These Canadian teams, boy, we we're doing some stats for Hockey Central, which is why I'm in a suit because I'm on that later tonight. And Canadian teams in the playoffs. Do you know the last time that every Canadian team, all 7, made the playoffs?
I think I worked.
It
It was this century.
It was 1986. All 7 teams made it.
86.
Yeah.
Okay, but so we had 6 of 7.
No. So yes, you did. You had 6 to 7. You're thinking of
12.
You know what, Kip?
Or 2012.
2019-20.
2019.
No. 2019-20 was the Canadian division.
No,
that's-
that doesn't
that
count. That doesn't count.
2016-17, 5 made it.
5.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's the best we've done.
I thought we were at
Back in
6.
our day.
And, and also the years that
Sportsnet was very excited, by the way, because we had so many Canadian teams.
Yes. When all 7 made it, there was no Ottawa and there was a Quebec. And there was also 20 teams in the league and 16 teams made the playoffs. So it's been a while since we've had this many good Canadian teams. Also like to clarify that year the Leafs made the playoffs with a record of like 25-48 or something. So
Oh my God.
yeah. Anyway.
You also asked me before the break to look up Dustin Wolf's home record,
Yeah.
and I found it for you.
Yeah.
He is in 26 games played at home. He is 17-6 with a 924
Yeah.
save percentage and a 228 goals against.
He likes the home cooking.
Mm-hmm.
On the road,
But
not
he's
as great.
Well, listen, he's. We're gonna get. We're gonna get Steve Valiquette, who's gonna join us in a couple of minutes. Who does a great job covering the New York Rangers on MSG, but also CEO of ClearSight Analytics. I want to ask him about Dustin Wolf because, goaltending. If you got it, you got a chance to win. That's that simple. Like, I get it with everybody in front of him, but still, over the course of history, it's the one position that can really, truly steal you a game.
Yeah. Is there more contrasting goaltenders in the NHL than Wolf and Skinner in the province of Alberta? One is like this kind of big, lumbering, positional, whatever, and Wolf is just zipping around out there at 5'11". It's pretty cool.
Zipping's a great word.
And the Edmonton Oilers with a nice win last night on the back of Stuart Skinner as well. So let's welcome him in, Steve Valiquette, who knows something about goaltenders, and pretty good display the other night in Alberta. Valley, how are you, pal?
Very good, Kemper. How are you? How
Good.
you guys doing?
So listen, I made Sammy take a Leaf jersey off for our national hour and put a Calgary Flame jersey on. And that, to me, is a credit to Dustin Wolf and what's going on in Calgary. And, rookies are supposed to get tired this time of year or just be a little overwhelmed. And none of that's happening in Calgary.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was brought to my attention about a few weeks ago about his record. I just came on and heard you talking about it at home versus on the road. Also hearing a lot about how they were picking his starts early in the season, and he had the easier games, which is why his stats are better. I wonder about that stuff too, because when you're playing with another goalie, specifically when you're in the American Hockey League and you're both trying to get called up, Borny, it's always in the back of your mind. Do I want the Hershey game or do I want the lighter game that's in Albany on the weekend, and pad my stats? So anyhow, went and looked at Wolf versus Vladar, difficulty of starts and chances faced. Wolf is playing in an environment of 887 save percentage, meaning the difficulty of all of his shots faced should yield an 88% chance to make a save, versus Vladar, which is 880. It's the same. So we're splitting hairs there. Calgary is what they are, even though they're performing better at home. Overall, chances faced, all things being created equal, Vladar and Wolf have faced the same measure of difficulty.
The American League is wild because you have such different motivations. Like as a winger, you'd rather score twice and lose. It's like just.
Hey, you think I didn't hear that with guys that were behind me on the bus?
Yeah.
We get spanked 6-1, and the guy's celebrating with his wife about his goal, and I'm like,
I got my goal.
Yeah, whatever.
That used to drive me nuts.
Yeah.
And in fact, the year that I coached in Bridgeport, Barney, it was I got to say it was before you. Barney, when were you in Bridgeport?
07, 08.
Okay, then it was after. It was 12. And we had 65 players that came through the roster that year.
Oh.
Try building team camaraderie with that. You know, it's like,
Yeah, no, you're playing for the name on the back at that point.
I know.
So is Wolf, is this play sustainable? Are we looking at the start of a career with someone who really has the potential to be around?
1,000%,
Yeah.
because like this has been going on for years. I mean, I've been hearing about Dustin Wolf for 5 years, going back to his time in the WHL. And you guys have had Kevin Woodley on from In Goal Magazine. If anybody that is into goaltending catches In Goal, the podcast, In Goal, the magazine, it's really good for content, bringing up guys through junior. You get to watch their pro reads going through the American Hockey League into the NHL. And I'm a subscriber to In Goal Magazine. And it's just educational to get, firsthand knowledge on these guys from interviews with basically their, teenage years being exposed and how their highs and lows are managed. Wolf, he's only been on the high. Like, this guy's been trending at every level. He excelled in the American Hockey League, hasn't missed a step in the NHL. I admire him because of his size. I coach a lot of goalies. As you guys know, I'm on the ice 5 hours a day in the summer times. A lot of the goalies I coach are under 6 feet tall. So I need examples of smaller guys like Saros and Wolf are always appreciated. And you know what? It's just the way that things have changed height-wise in the NHL. Kyper, you'll get a kick out of this. Mike Richter's rookie year was 86. And when I interviewed him a couple of years ago, I went back and did some research, and 72% of the goalies in the NHL in 86 were less than 6 feet tall. And 2 years ago, there were only 4 in the NHL under 6 feet tall. So, and Ricky got a huge kick out of that. And, in fact, I talked to him the other day, but, it's amazing how much size has changed in the league over the last 30 years.
Ricky's shrinking. I think he's 4'11" now.
And he plays D in the alumni game.
Does he?
That's
great.
You can play handball against the curb now.
He used to wear goalie skates too. I was all over him. I'm like, if you're going to play out, at least put the player skates on, Ricky. He's hysterical.
Can I ask you, like, Dustin Wolf, if he's 6 feet, right? 5'11", I don't know. But does this put faith into, like, you don't have to find a 6'5" goalie now. That's the trend is, like, they're all monsters.
Well, I think that, to be fair, that analytics kind of saves these guys, because there used to be a theory, Kipper, that rebounds would go in more frequently on a small guy because they didn't have that extra desperation length. And it's not the case. You just look at Saros' save percentage on rebounds the last 5 years. You can look at Wolf. You can go through the smaller guys and really just section it off. So I think that in-depth analysis that isn't just the eye test can really tell you a lot. Also, videos helped, because when you take video of these guys from a GoPro or from even an iPhone, works really well from ice level now in a practice environment, and you just do it from the face-off dot, and they capture the proper challenged depth in their crease. There's no net on the small guys either. So it doesn't matter. Plus, we spoke last week about elevation, and Wolf has very big shoulders that come forward. He's got great size. And I think that for any young goalie that's either listening or watching your show, your job is to expand your size and your stance, standing stance and butterfly stance, and still be able to move. If you can do those two things, you can play.
Do you have any, speaking of, from 6'5" to 6 feet, is there any analytical stats on the length of a stick and how it can benefit you, or how it can help clean out a rebound, or like, is there anything that you consider,
what,
important on the length of a goalie stick?
It's a fascinating one, because as we all golf and we get sized for our clubs, we never get sized for sticks. And I'm speaking for you guys too. Did you guys ever get sized for your sticks?
No,
right?
I look back at my career and I'm like, I played with too short of a stick.
Well, it's amazing that but there was no one who basically, unless you had some random assistant coach say something.
Never,
no one even
in
thought about
my
it.
100 years I've been around this game, anyone ever came up to me and said, "Hey, if you tried a different stick,
Yeah, it might be a little better on the forecheck area.
You put
no
a
background
piece of wood in the top
info.
if it's too short, you cut it.
Well, you know what though, and Sammy, I got in trouble for this when I was coaching the American League because the goalie that we had, I could tell from the eye test, it's very easy to see a goalie's stick when it's too long. All you have to do is ask them to butterfly. And when they have their hands in the proper position, if the stick is too far to their left, they have too much stick in their hand. And it opens up the 7-hole. And it's also harder to move your blocker to go down and make a blocker save because you've got to get that stick out of the way. And I was on the ice every day with this goaltender, and I mean, I'm seeing his stick late to protect his right pad with shots that were delivered on the ice, pass-off pad shots. And, I just finally said to him, look, your low blocker is going to be better. You're going to be more compact when you butterfly slide, and you're going to be able to protect your right pad better for potential rebounds. And he ended up doing it, but the assistant coach gave me a lot of crap about it. He's like, you can't tell anybody to change their stick. I was like, why not? I'm sitting here watching him spray rebounds every day.
Coaching.
Like, what are we doing? Right. Like, and it's also, what are we trying to do when we coach? To me, it's, I want to keep this guy in the league as long as possible and not the American League. You want to get him up to the NHL and keep him in that league. When I look back at my own experience, you'll get a kick out of this. The NHL length of a goalie's stick, the paddle, that's what matters. The top of the handle is all the way to where the heel breaks in the center point. It's 26 inches. That's the length of a goalie's paddle. That's the max length. And when I was playing, Chara got an exemption for length.
Right. I remember that.
Remember that? So
Yeah.
I went out and got an exemption length because at the time, it was before Bishop, I was the tallest. And I got a 27. We played against Philadelphia at home. It was a game in which Hronek gets pulled. I get thrown in. We come from down 2 and we go to a shootout. And I'll never forget it. Carter and Richards, they must have seen this giant panel because they both just hammered the post low blocker side because I'm using my 27. I felt so nice and big, but there was a huge window down there. And I'll never forget it. After the shootout, we won. And Brendan Shanahan escapes up to me and goes, hey, Valley, that's the ugliest shootout win I've ever seen. And I was like, yeah, Shanny, got it. Like I was using too long of a stick.
Yeah.
And I just kind of got caught because I was backing up with it. I got rid of it the next day. I had this conversation years later with Gar Snow, and he believed that everybody that played in the NHL, the longer they played, would go down lower and lower each year as they aged just to get closer to the puck rather than being further away from the puck. And I think the main reason really is being a little more compact. Do you know that Bobrovsky, he uses a 22? A 22. Really? Yeah. So he gets all the way down, and that's why he's really very rarely leaky through the elbow hole.
I've always thought that players or teams would benefit from like a week-long, almost just gear trial where try all the different curves, the different sticks, flexes. How about your skates? Try different pitches and rockers and, hollows and I don't think guys ever, once in a while a guy will tinker and I'll say, yeah, I tried something different.
Hey, Bourne, I got a good one for you. Listen to this one. So do you guys remember Aaron Voros?
Yeah.
He played in Fairbanks.
I golfed with him, I think. Yeah, in Tampa.
Yeah.
He's a character
hoot.
of a guy. He's a character.
He's a character.
So I was on the ice with him in the summertime at the training center years ago before the season begins. And Bordy, to your point, he was choosing all new gear from his jock strap to his chin pads to his shoulders. And it was all based on weight. He kept going on the scale. He dropped 4 pounds in gear weight.
With lighter gear.
It was unbelievable. He was thrilled. He's like, Dolly, can you believe this? Like, I just dropped 4 pounds.
I'm
like,
so much
my
faster
God.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Borny's spending too much time at Golf Town. He thinks it's like there's a hockey town somewhere out there.
This is the type of reaction you would get from coaches where it's like, just try. Did you at any point in your career try a different curve and go, oh, wow,
I loved the equipment room.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, no, and I've done that where you're like, oh wow, like I sauced the puck totally different with this different.
In my second year, I came out of the equipment room with a Jofa helmet. Trainer goes, where do you think you're going with
right
that?
back
What do you
in.
think? You've been in the league 10 years? Put the Jofa back.
So what about the other goalie in the province there? Stu Skinner's kind of on a roll lately. Has something changed for him? Is the team playing better? Confidence? What do you make of his hot run here?
This is really neat. So I loved your conversation about the Champions League last week. And when you guys were talking about what top 4 teams would be cup contenders, and it's just a fascinating conversation because you're really trying to narrow down at this time of year who the best teams
Well, that's
are.
what we do on this show.
I know. You guys come. Well, you got the best producer in show business.
That's right.
Oh, stop it.
So Skinner, last year we talked a lot about him being very weak off the rush, which was very challenging for Edmonton, being that to win a Stanley Cup, you need to be a very good rush defense, among other things. But last year, he was a -12 off the rush, meaning based on all the rush chances that he faced, he allowed 12 more goals than league average, and that ranked him last in the NHL.
Yeah.
This season, he is a +5 off the rush, and he's in the top 3. So it's a remarkable change. If you watched the game last night or caught the highlights, he made some great saves last night. He was really good. In some cases off the rush last night, forced a post because he was out expanding his size and forcing the shots around. Last night, there was a 2-on-1 and a 4-on-2. And in the 2-on-1, he was out a little bit more than last year, so he could carry a little bit more momentum back to get himself across. Made a big save with his glove. You might have saw it on the highlights. And then on the 4-on-2, he was playing deep in his crease because on 4-on-2s, there are more passing options, obviously. And you want to play a little bit deeper to take a shorter distance line, to take a straight path, to be able to set your feet. Stolarz does it very well. He's adjusted that since his first couple of years. So he's doing that very well. And overall, really what it is it's experience, it's depth management. But he's one of the top guys now off the rush, which I think is fascinating coming from being dead last, which I think when you're having that conversation of who the best team is in the NHL, maybe the best chance to win, I think all in, of course, there's going to be some moves before the deadline. But if I'm a gambling guy, I'd put some shekels on the Edmonton Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching and listening to Steve Valiquette, analyst with the Rangers, MSG, and Clear Sight Analytics. So the other day I mentioned Leon Draisaitl and what a stud he is, and right up there with the MVP. And JB jumped all over me and said Connor Hellebuck, or you did, Sammy, and I'm like, yeah, but we're just not used to goalies winning the Hart, But why is that, Valley? Why isn't it more kind of ingrained in all of us that they should be equals, whether it's forward, defense, or goalies for this award?
And before Valley jumps in, I'll just know that Hellebuck has as many shutouts as losses, 6 of each this year.
Interesting. I think that the argument from you guys typically is the goalies already have an award. Isn't that it? The Vezina?
Yeah.
But,
People say.
I get it. Look,
Has he been that good for you?
Yeah, he has. Like he's running away with what I consider the most important, which is how many goals are you saving your team every night? And he's certainly leading that by a long margin right now. I wouldn't say that he's been the most consistent, though. Who's been really consistent is Joseph Woll, actually. So as far as like looking at game quality and stolen wins and trying to get consistency from, do you want a quality start from your goalie? That's one area where Hellebuck doesn't really rate out that well because he's had a few clunkers along the way. He's about 14th on our list, and he's had 6 bad games, and he's blown 4. Now, when you blow a game, it's your team should have won, but it just didn't get a save on that particular night. So there's been more of a swing in his performance than you'd expect. If you watch all of his games, and you go back on the video, you're going to say to yourself, although he is overall having these massive highs, he's had some lows that have evened out his overall. And as far as most consistent goalie in the NHL, with a 91% positive game rate, it's Logan Thompson. The only bad game Logan had was against the Leafs. And other than that, he's really played well. Really.
Sammy's groaning because Team Canada didn't pick him.
Yeah, well, I told you why. At the top of the list, though, best goalies in the league right now, Hellebuck, Thompson, Shesterkin, Gustafsson, and the sleeper right now is Vejmelka. Vejmelka's a sleeper, guys. Any team, I don't know if Utah is going to let him go, but if anybody's looking, as we get closer to when it matters. Vejmelka's been really good. He's a funny goalie. He was great 2 seasons ago, had a real down season last year, and he's back on top this year. And just outside of that top 5 at number 6 is Stolarz. I'm hoping you guys have some info. I don't know what's going on with him. Is he back
Skating
soon?
now, just skating.
Okay.
It'll be challenging for him to get a start, I think, before the Four Nations tournament. But speaking of the Toronto Maple Leafs, $53.5 million on a power play, and they can't get a big goal. Is there anything in your little analytics book that can suggest
Kyper,
something?
it's not little. It's not little.
Yeah. It's a whole company.
I got a big budget here, Kemper.
All right. Get your big budget talking.
Here we go. So looked at last season versus this season. Last season, the team was a 6th ranked power play as far as the quality and the rate stat and what they push out over and over again every night. Their quality versus everybody else last year, 6th. This year, 8th. Not that far off. Last year, top 5 in breakaways, deflections, one-timers, east to west plays. And that's the key one out of the 4 that I just mentioned is the east to west last season versus this season. That's gone way down. This season, top 5 in broken plays. So they're good at getting the garbage around the net. Bless you, Borny. Deflections, slot area chances, but they rank 20th in the east to west. So I know that the theme in Toronto has been more north-south, but the thing about going east to west, guys, is you just get a big advantage from the broken plays as well as the rebounds that go east to west. It's not just about the chance itself, it's what comes off of that. I have a few tips, and my tips come from my experience either playing or on the bench, because one of them that I remember being very important for us was when we played Brodeur. And he was great, as you know, at handling the puck. And we're in a playoff series against him, and we didn't have any success on our entries. New Jersey would shut us down. We dump it in. Brodeur's playing it out. But what we ended up doing was firing it on him. Mm-hmm. And that's something when I watch the Leafs right now, and they're having a couple of denials, fire it on the blocker, and I guarantee you it will be available to you at the left corner. It goes there 10 times out of 10. Every goalie does it. Fire it 5-hole on the ice. Try to stay away from the corners, like the posts, because the goalie could angle the puck out, and then, well, you get a face-off. But if you shoot it 5-hole, again, 10 times out of 10, it'll go to the goalie's right or your left corner. So you just get on a horse and get going there and be predictable that way. Really helped us get set up. We'd put 2 guys in on the forecheck hard, get the puck back, get it off the yellow, and get back into play. The first shot of your power play when you are hurting a little bit should be predictable to everybody. In my opinion, the best is get it to the low guy below the goal line, and it's a hard blind wrap at the net. Now, the reason why you do it is because, A, you could get a scoring opportunity off the initial, and everybody knows it's going there, and it could create some crap, and then you can go east to west if you recover it quickly. But number 2, and I think this is more important, the goalie now knows it's a possibility for the rest of the game, and you can no longer cheat and get a jump on that slot area guy that's looking for the bumper or that one-timer on the same side of the ice. So now you catch the goalie sticking a little bit harder to his post and not cheating out and being able to advance in the crease. And off of face-offs, when you get a face-off in zone, did a lot of research on this in the last few weeks. The Rangers have 7 goals this year on their power play. Face-off, back to the point, shoot it right away. It's one of the very few times in the NHL where you can outnumber at the net because you've got more on the ice than the opponent, and everybody's on the same side of the ice. Just shoot it through the forest. It's going to hit something. And it oftentimes does and creates chaos. And then again, you can recover a puck. A lot of teams, what they're working on now is if it's a strong side rebound, rather than shooting it right on goal, kick it across the crease to weak side. You can get those benefits too. But shooting it right off the face-off goals, they're not pretty, fellas. It's not east to west. It's not set plays. It is get it back off the stick at first touch, get bodies to the net.
The other benefit of the hard blind wrap thing is it's a mindset thing for the offense of just taking it to the net, just being there and creating offense, and I like that a lot. You mentioned subscribing to In Goal Magazine. I'm sure the Islanders goalie coach Piero Greco. You're in New York. I know him. I worked with him with the Marlies. He's
He coached me when I was a youngster at the Jim Park Goalie School at Westwood Arenas in Toronto.
So
I started with Piero.
You know what he's all about. He's
he used to hit on my mother.
That is the least surprising thing I've ever heard someone say. But Grex
Hey,
believes.
Valley, who drove you to practice today? All right. Like, easy.
Hey,
Easy,
come on, keep it.
Piero.
It's a family show.
I know.
But he believes goaltending is not rocket science. It's a pretty simple art. In goal, I know it's a lot of head tracking and technology and, what's the new way to do things. Where do you sit on these two things? Is the position evolving greatly, or is it still just stop it?
I think that you can compete. A lot of kids are working hard, but they don't understand the difference between working hard and competing. And to me, they're two different things. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes, goalies are very good actors. They can make you believe they tried to go for it, waving the stick, or, finding traffic to get caught up and tied into. Or I remember last year being on and talking about this one, the Bobrovsky over the glove, and he's like, you can really make it look like you didn't really see it.
Right.
And I think that when you teach kids to compete for every single puck in practice, they will come up with saves that will surprise them in games. You guys know it as well as I do. You gain all of your confidence from practice. And a big piece after you've got the technical, that's not the answer for every goal being scored. It's not a technical answer to that. Now, one thing that I always work with young goalies is at least having something that can keep you safe to prepare for practice. 3 cues that I would use just to get myself set the right way on a puck would be look at it, which is head trajectory, just making sure your head is square on the puck because it's down there. It's not up here. You're not playing lacrosse. And then finding your timing at the beginning of practice, making sure when the puck comes to your upper body that you feel it and then you drop down to your knees. You're not on your knees and getting punched up by pucks because then you're going to spray pucks up. So your timing, to me, I would just say first couple drills, let it come. Let it come. If I don't have my timing, let it come. And then tracking down would be, the technical aspect of making sure your head is driving down towards every release. Those 3 things are important. If you look at it the right way, you let the puck come so you get your timing and you're able to track down, you're going to have success as long as you compete in practice. You can't just be out there saying, oh, I worked hard today, I got a good workout. You have to understand what competing is.
One more for me, and that is Darcy Kemper. I know we mentioned the game last night with Skinner with the shutout, but, man, he was really, really good. Mackenzie Blackwood also stands out for me. If you got a quick comment on pick one or both,
I'll go quickly on both because I watched the game last night, and I thought Kemper just looks like a different goalie. And you know what, impressed. Guys? I was impressed. Did you see that? Connor comes right down the gut a couple times, Kemper, and it's a low blocker save, but he's just hanging over the puck, waiting for it. And as I'm looking at scoring chances for the company in the morning, we're always looking at the puck being halfway between the goalie and where it came off the release. And I'm telling you, the guy's like a statue. He's just silent. And that's really what confidence is. It's silence is deadly. Somebody that's out there jittery, that's not confidence. They're fooling themselves. I was looking at something that I think is very important here, and it relates to LA and the confidence that he's playing with and the confidence that Hellebuck's playing with, as well as Blackwood in Colorado. It's time and space chances, Kipper. It's not having time and space versus having it. Now, I'm going to read you a list here. The 10 worst teams in the NHL at giving away a lot of time and space. All right. And keep in mind here that these are not playoff teams. Pittsburgh, Anaheim, Nashville, the Rangers, Philly, Calgary, Buffalo, Boston, and Carolina. Surprising at the end there, maybe. But the good teams at not allowing time and space, giving their goalies clear reads, always being within a stick length away from their player, from their check. Winnipeg's the best. I think Bourne, you're maybe high on them as a cup winner.
Yeah.
Not a bad pick. LA, which speaks to why Kemper is so much better this year. Dallas, Tampa, Edmonton, Detroit, which is really interesting because they're pushing. Colorado, Vegas, Ottawa is pushing, and Montreal's right there.
Oh.
So when Montreal comes out of nowhere, or Detroit or Ottawa, I think there's something there with this stuff. To me, it always comes back to how you check. How you check, it runs a lot of enthusiasm and belief through the room, and it gives everybody a clear role on what's about to happen. I'm sure you guys agree.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
From goaltending to long sticks to your mom. What a segment. Valley.
Yeah, I know. You went from a cougar to a mountain lion.
All right, get
Thanks,
ready.
Valley.
You got the
Appreciate it.
Rangers and the Avs tonight. Have a good one. Always appreciate your stuff here on Tuesdays. Thanks, Valley.
See you, boys. Have a good one.
Thanks, buddy.
That's a pretty fast half hour.
Guy kills me. I really, really loved the equipment conversation.
Yeah.
It's so true.
You are right. It's very underrated.
But like a kid
Put
who's
in some
playing,
time.
yeah. But like if a kid say that's plays for my hometown Attack in the OHL or whatever, and they're like, hey, are you gonna go? Because a junior golfer is gonna go into the lab. They're gonna go into Golf Canada. They're gonna get dialed in, and then like Bauer just ships 100 sticks. They're like, here you go.
Well, it's great.
You
one
cut
time,
it down a little bit, like you do whatever, but it's a really fascinating
I
thing.
got traded once, and I got to the new team, new trainer, did my skates a different way, and I just had more blade on the ice. I had, whatever you call that, a longer pitch rock or whatever the word is. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so much faster. Like it made a tangible difference in my speed, and I had just never had anyone try it.
Where would Albert have been without Canadian Tire?
Albert, that commercial, is that
Do you remember that? You don't remember that, do you? You're way too young.
No, that wasn't that.
I am
long, was
very
it?
impressed.
No idea.
No idea you.
Game time?
It's a
Game time.
commercial.
Like how long ago?
He just had Albert on the name of his jersey. Just Albert.
He was
on the
like
back,
the
and they changed
pukey little kid that nobody paid any attention until he went to Canadian Tire and got fitted, and then he became a star.
All right, we don't like to do free ads, but there's no smell better in the world than Canadian Tire. Anyways, it's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app, latest
That's
odds,
just creepy.
and find
Weird
out
guy.
why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. That's a thing. The smell of Canadian Tire is a thing. It's like they sold like novelty candles of the smell. It's a thing. Anyways, yeah. So looking at the games tonight, I got to tell you, I just quickly pulling up the number here. Nick Robertson loves this matchup, and I got a funny feeling that tonight he's going to get on the score sheet again. I'm just quickly pulling it up. Yeah, Austin, I'm pulling it down here.
Segment catch you by surprise today?
No, he is plus, sorry, it just takes me a little while here. He's plus 550 for a goal tonight, Nick Robertson. I love that number. The Leafs have had a lot of success against the Dallas Stars over the last few years. So if you wanted to parlay a Nick Robertson goal with a Maple Leafs win or something like that, but I'm just telling you, my spider's senses are tingling that there's a good chance that Nick Robertson's going to shoot one in the net tonight. He loves this matchup. Other game that I'm looking at tonight, the Detroit Red Wings are home to the San Jose Sharks.
7 in a row.
They're looking to win 8. They're 8th in a row tonight, right?
Yep.
Sheesh.
So they are minus 190 on home ice against the Sharks. Tomorrow, we're going to have a former Detroit Red Wing on, Darren McCarty, to come on to talk about the red-hot Red Wings. So that'll be fun. And the last game that I'm going to look at, the stinky Boston Bruins host the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. You can watch that game on Sportsnet 1. The Boston Bruins are plus 125 on home ice. Tampa Bay minus 150. Give me the Tampa Bay Lightning, and you could even talk me into the Tampa Bay Lightning by 2 goals. I really think they're a way better team, and the Boston Bruins kind of stink. And they barely beat Florida over the weekend. They were holding on for dear life in that game.
The Bruins are outside the wild card spot.
Yeah,
5 points percent.
And I got to tell you, I think they're going to stay.
Yeah.
And that was game time.
Back.
Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
I can see the Rangers finding it. I'm just looking, deep down that Eastern Conference standings.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll get into some NHL news and notes. Hronek set to return against the Winnipeg Jets tonight for the Vancouver Canucks, and I'll tell Sammy why I think Boston
Doesn't
is still
Come on.
in the thick of things here. When we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. A reminder that this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Canucks Hronek set to return from injury against the Winnipeg Jets. That's coming off of pretty good win Saturday night by the Vancouver Canucks.
Win for them.
Season-changing win.
So you think
Right?
that the Leafs, or sorry,
Everything's
the Canucks are
hunky-dory
gonna
now.
roll into Winnipeg and
I think
do
they
it
do.
again?
Yep, I do.
Um,
I didn't bring it up on game time, but they'd probably be underdogs going in there. They'd be a live dog to me.
I have some crazy stats on Quinn Hughes. So when he's on the ice,
Plus 135 the Canucks tonight.
when Hughes is on the ice, their goal differential, the Canucks is plus 37. Without him, minus 43. Shot attempts with him are plus 478. Without him, minus 612. Scoring chances plus 199. Without, minus 274.
If you're,
He's turned
Give him
himself.
the Hart Trophy.
and I was gonna say you're a Hart voter. Like those stats, if I present that to you, it's like, yeah, he is by far the most important.
He's
most
at
valuable
the
guy.
top of my list.
He's turned himself into a point guard in the NHL.
I like that. Yeah. Just a distributor. He gets it every he brings it up the ice. He has it
just
every possession.
Controls the game.
Yeah.
That's all. Like, it's not. Hockey's never been basketball where a guy can literally play 48 minutes a night. It's like you're only playing a third of the game. Yet this guy, when he's on the ice, and Miro Heiskanen tonight for Dallas against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think he played almost 30 minutes last time
He did.
against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's half the game that these star players can go out there and control the pace of play.
Yeah. And it's like your team is going to be fine in these minutes, and he's playing half the game. That's a pretty unique gift.
And getting his partner back's pretty nice. I'm sure that I think Talk had said today they're going to limit his minutes a bit, so they're going to monitor that.
Yeah,
but
we've
having
had
it
that before until it ends up being like
Yeah.
20,
All of a sudden, it's a close
20
game, and
20 minutes.
who
He's
do
like,
you want
yeah.
to send over the boards?
he's like, yeah, maybe send him back out there.
Yeah, send the good guy out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's funny too because like Connor McDavid plays 21 minutes, and so does Draisaitl, but like Hughes is out there for 25 minutes a night or whatever it is. It's more valuable.
Speaking of Connor McDavid, wretched slew foot from Kempe last night. Kicked his feet right out
yeah.
from under him, and he got fined today $5,000. I got to tell you, that's a game for me. He comes right up behind him, grabs him by the chest, kicks his feet out
Yeah.
from him. Totally malicious, dirty play. That's one of the most dangerous plays in the game. Like, I mean, you guys like. There's no. You got your
Anything with the knees.
exposing
and-
the back of the head, you're exposing the knee. Like, it's just, I can't believe, even if it's not a repeater performer, that somebody comes up behind the back of your meal ticket, the most important player in the league, and kicks his feet out from underneath him, slew foots him, and he gets a $5,000 fine. That's a suspension all day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Typically, somebody's got to be hurt.
For
So
suspension.
stupid.
Yeah.
The intent is there. That is an
Yeah, it's
intent to injure.
Just as greasy a move, whether the guy gets hurt or not.
Anyways, I'd bring that up, but I was surprised to see him only getting $5,000.
The Florida Panthers lost to the Philadelphia Flyers last night. First off, Sam Reinhart is unbelievable. I mean,
What a goal.
Holy smoking Joes.
Like they're
People-
Really looking forward to rooting for him.
between
Yeah.
between
Really looking forward
Barkov
to it.
and Reinhardt, they're never out of it.
Yeah. No, they're not.
I think they're a team that, there's going to be some nights when you watch them and they're going to lose to the Flyers or Anaheim or something like that. And when you think of the amount of hockey that they've played in the last 3 years, kind of makes sense that they can let their guards down a little bit.
You think
On
they'll
a
be
night
able to
tonight?
find it again in the big moments?
There's no finding replacements for Montour or
Right.
OEL. So they're hurting back there compared to where they were. I don't know what's going to be left. Like, it's kind of dry right now with assets and draft picks to keep going to the well March at the trade deadline. It just may be that you hope that they save enough energy to make another push. If they don't, then they're spent.
Yeah.
But,
Like,
I mean, that
there's
decor,
no more gas in the tank.
it's still a good decor.
It's not bad.
And, that Mikkel is just a big, mean guy, and Kulikov plays with an edge now.
Ekblad's
and
still a
Forsling's
minute muncher.
Unbelievable, Forsling. And Schmidt's
The
giving them
biggest thing
decent
is that
minutes.
Bob looks like a dog.
Yeah, that's
Well,
really it.
Bob made some big saves against Philly too.
Yeah. And also, Bob is
If he
on
hits
the,
it, if
Bob
he hits it.
is on the list of like, don't want to play him because you know he can find a high level.
That's the thing. Like, he could have a 775 save percentage for the entire season, and you're going into a first-round matchup with them. You're terrified he's just going to snap the fingers. It used to be the opposite.
Yeah, I want to say that this happened. Was it during their first run to the Cup final where he struggled in round one, or like Spencer Knight got some games, or Alex Lyon did, and then he came back in and found it and went.
But he is in 30 starts this year. He has dipped below a 900. He's 899.
Yeah.
I know it's saying it, but like he's dipped below.
Which brings me to
we have a great Maurice clip from last night after the
Okay,
game. If you
let's
want to
go
play
to
it?
that.
I know we haven't played a Maurice clip in a while. So if Derek, we could play that clip.
Oh, we had more turnovers than shots on goal in the second period, and then you lose the flow of the game. So they look like they're skating faster. We look like we're slower. I don't know that either's true. We created that event, and then we've taken 12 minor penalties in the last two games, and I don't think in either of those two games anybody needed to wear equipment. They're not heavy games, so they weren't mean. They weren't angry. They're just, I don't even know what the hell they are. But with Aaron out of our lineup, we can't be in the box 12 times in 2 games. We just can't. We're giving up 4 goals, and that's the difference in both of them.
There you go.
just tired. Just get tired, I think.
I mean, it's a mid-season malaise. These guys have had it. I mean, they've been good enough this year. They know they're going to be a factor once the playoff starts. I'm sure there's nights where you're like, crap, I don't have it tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Much like the Leafs without the success in the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like we give them lots of passes, but they've won a cup.
They won the cup, which you're allowed to.
I'm with you on many nights watching the Boston Bruins that this is just like it's caught up to them too, and they're not as good as they've been in the past, but like they have been god awful. Their numbers are god awful.
Their goalie's been awful.
Goalie's
Actually,
been awful.
The worst in the league, maybe?
Okay.
By some metrics.
Specialty teams.
Awful.
Yet they're in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, they won't be for long.
No. Which means like there's room for them to get better.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Lots.
Yeah, but
lots.
I mean,
Listen
there's tons
to
of
them,
room
lots.
to get way worse too.
No, I'm not sure how much worse that they can be.
They're skipping
No,
along
they
the bottom.
stink. They're brutal, and they're still there.
But they're not a threat. They might make playoffs.
I'm telling
they're
you.
not a threat.
Listen,
Red Wings are coming.
Charlie McAvoy has been god awful. He's hurt now.
He's on
right?
IR now.
He has been horrible. They have no Lindholm. Okay. Pasternak.
They moved him to LTIR, by the way.
Yeah.
Lindholm.
Pasternak and Marchand have not been very good on the power play. Like
They're best friends.
if they just
ask them
alone get a little better than what they've shown, which they will, then there's more room to go up than further down, in my opinion.
Let me just say.
And Swayman, like,
Yeah,
come
he's
on.
got better too.
He's gonna get better.
He's not the worst goalie in the league.
He's at some point between now and
He
March.
wasn't the best goalie in the league either.
Between now and March, this guy will find it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look at this mess where we're like, everyone's still in it in the East. No, they're not. Like, give it some time here.
Detroit's going to make it.
Yeah, I think Detroit will too.
And they're going to take Boston's spot.
But like the Bruins, the Rangers, the
I'm cheering
Senators.
for Columbus.
Rangers not going it. They're not. They're way too far behind it now, I feel like.
You're probably right.
And they're like, what are they? Minus 30 goal difference? Like they're
minus
not.
-9.
Minus 9? I thought they were way worse than that. My bad.
But they
Bruins
beat
are
beat
minus
Colorado
26.
tonight. Rangers beat Colorado tonight. Might be a different tune.
They started so good that you can, you can't afford to be terrible.
We're just talking about the Bruins. I got a DM from just a random guy about it with a tinfoil hat theory that I thought was a fantastic theory. This is not like
Put
this.
it on.
This is a random guy. He said that the rumor of Pasternak and Marchand hating each other.
Yeah.
He texted me and he said that maybe the Bruins management put that out there to try to like inspire. Galvanize the group, inspire. They use that radio host as a punching bag to, like that theory, Kyper. Okay,
Dumb theory.
You know what?
I didn't mind it. I thought it was a decent theory.
Someone
I just imagine how are we going to fix this?
someone gave me
I
a
have an
theory
idea.
of well, not necessarily a theory about purposely putting it out there that both Pettersson and JT Miller are available, but it's nice to know from a management perspective of where their true value lies as you shop them around the league.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wouldn't that be beneficial for every team to know exactly where everyone's value on their team sat?
It would
constantly to know.
Yep, it would
But
be.
you'd have to go do your homework. So in Toronto, you'd have to go do your homework and find out what Matthews could get you back, or Marner, or Riley. Trade clauses or no trade clause. It's not a bad exercise to know exactly where your pieces fit around the league.
Right.
Okay.
All you have to do is create a complete circus.
Even make it up.
Yeah. I just
Text the radio host. Maybe you can text me.
Your Cam Neely, proven NHL veteran,
No, you're right.
sitting there with Don
I just
Sweeney.
thought it was a great tinfoil hat. I
Yeah.
love a tinfoil hat theory.
Hey, let's talk about Hyman. He bought OHL team with his dad.
Yeah, but his dad's had a history of minor hockey organizations.
Doesn't he own like a
He
whack of-
owned 8 or 9
GTA?
when it was like,
Can I
actually
just say-
probably a smart business move because they were all so valuable and they
Can I
still
just say-
are valuable.
That anyone that owning a GTHL team has value is a criminal indictment of the way minor hockey is run, that they're for-profit enterprises rather than the
Listen,
players pay to play.
Bud, we could do a 3-hour show on that.
Do you know what, like a AAA from start to finish is going to cost a parent?
Yeah.
Oh my
today?
God.
Yeah.
Give me a number.
We've had this talk. It's
I don't know, like $1
$25,000.
million?
30,000.
Yeah.
And so that
What are you going to
that isn't the
Harvard?
money. That isn't the money the player needs to play. That's the money. So someone's making a profit on that. Someone's making money on the money you put into your kids' ice time.
Mm.
Who's doing that?
Oh,
when did
a lot of
that
people.
start, and why was it okay the time it started?
Buddy, be careful. We could turn this into Hockey Canada real quick
Anyways,
conversation.
Brutal.
hey,
And we don't want to open up that.
just quickly, we're just speaking about ice time and everything. Last night, Zigzag's an 11 p.m. puck drop. My beer league team, horrible time for a puck drop. We were down a bunch of guys, injuries or whatever. I got 4 listeners that came out and played. My whole decor was all call-ups, listeners of the show.
I love that they all played
and
D
they
for you.
all played D. Mitch, Matt, Dylan, and Kari. Four of them
Incredible performance.
came out and we won 8-1. So they boys were buzzing. Everyone was really thrilled. One of the guys
Team
brought
RK and B. We
one of
should
them-
sponsor his team.
one of them brought beers for everybody. It was a spectacular
Can we
performance
get
by the
Real
boys.
Kipper and Bourne on the jerseys?
Can we sponsor your?
If you guys
we'll
pay
buy the
for
sweaters?
absurd league fees all day, Kipper, you can do it.
Is
no
it
problem.
like 30,000 like
We'll
in the
buy sweaters,
GTHL?
though.
It's closer than you'd think. Anyway, so shout out the boys. Thanks for coming out last night.
It's awesome.
And a shout out to Marty Turco in our Leaf Edition hour. And, of course, Steve Valiquette.
Yes, wonderful.
Did we learn anything today? Did we solve anything today? Nothing.
it's not what we
Nada. Feathers. 2 hours of complete.
We're rock tumbler. We're just churn it all around,
I
smooth
don't know
things
what it's
over.
complete. But wherever you were watching and listening, we sure appreciate it. Get a chance, download us, send us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great night, everybody. 13 games on tap. Pick yours.